What's up, Facebook Live? How we doing? Always giving people a couple minutes to come on in. So, just gonna hang out for a minute. I hope you're doing well today. It's good to see you if you check this out later on. So I normally would be on sooner, but I took a day off from work. I just finished my 5th term at seminary, and so I wanted to spend some time with my family, and I took the day off and just went to the gym for the first time in, about 2.5 years. So that was pretty painful, and I just got out of the shower, which is why I've got a hat on, but it's also trade deadline day in the NHL, and my Penguins made some moves, so they're looking strong. So I'm at home right now, so if you hear some shouting and yelling, that will be my son in the background playing, and dinner's getting ready. So it's good to see you. Hop on in, invite some people, share this later. I'm having a good time doing this Wednesday word thing. I don't know if that works as a title, but it's what I'm going with. So anyway, I hope you're doing well today. Jordan, I see you're in here. Jessica, how's it going? If anybody wants to comment, please feel free to chat. I love to interact and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm going to get into this pretty quick. It's nothing too long, nothing too extensive. What's up, Steve? Welcome. But so I'm gonna jump into the word for the evening. As the title of the video says, the word is Eba what? Eba what? You'll see what I mean in a second. So, hey Jordan, I'm going to read from 1 Samuel in the Old Testament of the Bible on the left-hand side. 1 Samuel chapter 7. So I'll just give a quick background on this, and then I'll just go from there. So Samuel, the prophet, leader of Israel at that time, he's leading the people in the faith community, as well as kind of serving as a governmental leader. He was a judge and a prophet. And so the local enemies of Israel were the Philistines. You hear about the Philistines throughout the Old Testament. And so Samuel goes before the Lord and intercedes for them. The people are afraid of the Philistines. Let's go Pens. Absolutely, Marissa. They'll be okay. I think some good moves, some depth on defense. I think we're good to go. Got to get healthy though. Anyway, so the Israelites are afraid of the Philistines, and they tell Samuel, would you cry out to the Lord? They say in verse 8 of chapter 7, and do not cease to cry out to the Lord our God for us, that he may save us from the hand of the Philistines. It says, so Samuel took a nursing lamb, offered it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. Samuel cried out to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. As Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to attack Israel. But the Lord thundered with a mighty sound that day against the Philistines and threw them into confusion, and they were defeated before Israel. All right, next verse 12 says, then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen, the two locations there where the camps met. And he called the stone Ebeneazar, for he said, till now, the Lord has helped us. So the Philistines were subdued and did not again enter the territory of Israel, and the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. So the word for this evening, is Ebeneazar. So Monday at about 3 o'clock, I turned in my last paper for this term. And it was one of those things where I was in the library and I was reading books and commentaries and typing and going back over and editing my paper over and over again. And at a certain point, I just couldn't do anymore. And so I went and I submitted all my stuff online on the website for the seminary and was done. Have you ever just had that moment where you get something like that done and it's like you collapse? Like you gave everything you had up until that moment. And the moment you're done, it's like you just fall face down. Well, that's what happened to me Monday. And so I'm sitting at this little desk in the seminary library, and I hit send, and I just laid my head down, and all I could do was just thank God, because these last couple months, if you know, they've been crazy for myself and for my family. And so to be able to hit send on that paper and to be done with this term, I learned a lot. I had some good relationships built with people at the school, but to get through it and to hit send, it was like the weight of the world was off my shoulders. And I knew in that moment that I couldn't have made it that far except by the grace and mercy of God. Knowing what we've faced and what we've been through recently, all the way back to the fall, it was a sigh of relief. And in that moment, it was like that desk at the seminary. What's up, Sean? Linda, how are you? I'm just talking about 1 Samuel chapter 7, the Ebeneazar. In that moment, it was as if that desk represented how far God had brought me. It was as if putting my head down on that desk after turning in my final paper was like a monument. It was a moment of just praise and thanksgiving to God. And so, what's up, Mike? So I thought about this text in 1 Samuel, this Ebeneazar. So the Israelites win a great battle against the Philistines, and my 2-year-old. Anyway, and so I'm going to keep this quick because of all that's going on out there. But anyway, and so they win this great battle, and Samuel the prophet sets up a monument. He sets up a giant stone, and he names it, and maybe even carves in it. The word in Hebrew is Ebeneazar, which means stone of help. So if your name is Evan, your name means stone. It means stone of help, as a monument to say that God had brought them that far. And so for generations to come, when they would come to that location and that battle, they would recall to the previous generations and to their grandchildren, at this place, God helped us. And that's what that desk for me was on Monday. It was a sign to say, if it had not been for God, if it had not been for His grace, there is no way myself or my family could have made it through. But He brought me that far. And I just drove home in the car from class Monday, and I just reflected on that and was so grateful that I just had to ask you this question, like I try to do every Wednesday. What is your Ebeneazar? What is your stone of help? What is that thing that when you think about it, or how about maybe it's a location, maybe it's a place that you go to, or it's a friend that you have, even maybe it's a song that you hear on the radio, and it takes you back to that experience. It takes you back to that season of difficulty. And when you hear it, you're reminded that you made it. You're reminded that you have no idea how you got to where you are, but you're here. Maybe for you, whatever that is, your Ebeneazar, it brings back difficult memories. You know, the people of Israel would look at the giant monument that was the Ebeneazar and think back to the people they lost, think back to the loved ones that had to fight in that battle. Think about war monuments and memorials that we've set up as a nation, and we're reminded of the tragedies that we had to face and the lives that were lost. But my encouragement for us on this Wednesday is, rather than hearing that song or seeing that person's face or driving to that location or that house or whatever it is, and thinking about the pain and the struggle, why don't you look at it as a stone of help that says that God brought you through that says that I'm reminded of who I once was. I'm reminded of who I used to be. Rather than the struggle, I'm reminded of now I'm better and I'm stronger because I came through it, because of God's mercy. And if you can't identify one of those things in your life, and maybe you're checking into this saying, I'm not religious, I'm not that kind of person, that's fine. I mean, you don't need to necessarily believe that God exists for you to be able to understand that you've made it through some tough things. And I would suggest that even if you don't hold that He exists, that he's the reason you can identify that thing and find hope and find a reminder that you survived. And so if you don't have an Ebenezer, I want to point you to one, and it's in Romans chapter 5. Let me turn there real quick on my iPad. Romans chapter 5, Paul the apostle is talking about sin. He's talking about the love of God. It says, verse 7 of chapter 5, "For one will scarcely die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person one would dare even to die. But God shows his love for us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." So if you don't know what your Ebenezer is, may I suggest to you to look to the cross? May I suggest to you to look at the death of Jesus? Whatever you believe about it, whatever you believe about the historicity, whatever, this claim in the New Testament is that the cross of Jesus is God's sign of help to you and me. It's his monument to us to say, this is how much I love you. This is how much I've sacrificed and given for you to help you and to save you and forgive you and to offer you new life. If you don't believe that God loves you, if you think you've messed up too many times, you think too much crap has happened in your life, look to the cross. Look to the ultimate stone of help, the ultimate Ebenezer, and let it declare to you today that God loves you passionately, deeply, beyond what you and I could ever imagine. The cross is the ultimate Ebenezer, a sign of God's faithfulness and mercy. So look to the cross. If you can't hold on, if you don't know how you're going to make it right now, if you're struggling, look to the cross. It's Lent. We consider what it means to suffer and to sacrifice. Consider the cross as your ultimate stone of help today. And I pray maybe you would look at it for the first time, or you would share this with somebody that would see it for the first time. Look to the cross, friends. It is your stone of help. God is faithful. I can tell you firsthand, God is faithful. So I love you all. Thanks again. Short word, kind of crazy with this finals week and everything, but I'm grateful for you. Share this, message me. I'm loving this. I really am. And I love all of you, and I'm praying for you. Mike, it's good to hear from you, man. And praying for you and your families and loved ones and things like that. And remember, look to the cross this week. I will talk to you all next week on Wednesday. God bless you.